Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, and welcome to the first episode of Digression Session. This is a podcast where we will talk about let's just be honest, we're going to talk about a subject that you might not even care about or know about, but by the end of the podcast, you want to know more. And today's lovely topic we're going to talk about is Gladiators. That's right, the 90s British TV show which is absolutely, watching it now is absolutely god tier. Like, it's hilarious. We don't know how it was made. I am one of the co-hosts of this podcast, Lee. Across the table to me is my good friend Ben. How you doing, Ben?
I'm good.
Are you ready for some Gladiators? Wait a minute. Gladiators! Are you ready? You ready for this? I think you are. Contenders ready. And then our good friend Dan is also in the corner. How you doing, Dan?
Yeah, I'm alright.
Yes. Right. So, Gladiators. Now, I did a little bit of research for this. So, just to give a little bit of context, here's the theme song.
Stuff you're made of. Can you see the fate of the
if that hasn't got you excited, I'm telling you what. Like, I'm telling you now, like, on Podbean, it doesn't give you justice. On YouTube, there's going to be so many clips of, like, Gladiators spliced in this. You're going to see craziness, awesomeness, Wolf, like, yelling at people. You're going to see loads of shit.
I love the fact that the theme music introduces them all as well.
It's
like,
true.
That little moment where they give it the pose and shadow.
Yeah, like, it's every season that, like, it changed. Some Gladiators left due to injury, or they just didn't want to do it anymore, and then you had new ones. So the first couple of names are pretty dope, and then as the seasons went on, they kind of lost their, like, wow factor, and like, it really is.
And I think they did continue. The poses that they did at the start, they were all unique gladiators.
Yes.
And they were given unique names, and they had unique poses as well.
Yes.
Like Lightning did the leg splits.
Yeah.
And Hunter made the shape of a bow.
Yeah. And then you had Wolf. Yeah, there we go. It doesn't work on a podcast, but Ben's doing it. Like, it's so good because this show, which with my research, it premiered in 1992, and the last ever episode was in the 2000s, guys. So it was running for 8 years. When you're looking at it, wow.
I thought I was older than 9 when it started.
Yeah.
And you boys would have been...
I would have been 4, 5.
Mate.
Yeah. And I think when I started watching it, it was probably on season 4 or 5, because I know when certain Gladiators came in, I was like, oh, I know that one. I must have started around this time. That's how bad my research has become. But yeah, Gladiators, it like so the words to describe, I don't know how you can describe it, but if you watch it, it's like if American Ninja Warrior met like Wipeout and just loads of other craziness, because it's like a drug-infused fusion of greatness.
It was competitive. It was had like that one-on-one, well, more than one-on-one in some occasions. But
yes.
That whole competitive, not just a race, the gladiators were smashing the shit out of the contenders.
100%.
Real-life bodybuilders fucked up some relatively fit people.
Like, it was. And some of them were rapid.
When I was watching it, like rewatching it, I was making a lot of comparisons to pro wrestling with the way it sets out the good guys and the bad guys, and the way the crowds going, the names, the taunts and stuff like that. But when you actually watch like things like Powerball, for example,
Powerball, people died.
That is not pro wrestling. Right?
No.
Are getting taken out.
Right?
Powerball is with the bins, where basically I've wrote down in my notes, because we're going to talk about the events. Powerball is if rugby and British Bulldog had a baby. That's how bad it is. Like, when you see some of the people we're talking about, if you see Wario or Rhino, and they're going to go, yeah, your whole goal is to basically not get these guys put balls into baskets, and you're allowed to rugby tackle people and spear them.
And you're twice as wide as the basket.
100%, you're going to be sent to the Shadow Realm. I'm going to tell you right now, people died.
I don't know how people got back up. When you watch it, they get taken out by a rhino, they pop back up to their feet and go and grab another ball. That would have been...
I would have died. I would have literally died. There is literally some events where you look at it and go, you're like, oh, I could do that. And then you physically break it down and go like, no. I wouldn't be able to do Gauntlet. I wouldn't be able to do like certain things where basically I've got a fully muscular Arnold Schwarzenegger with like a giant baton just going, how you doing? I'm just going to knock 7 barrels of shit out of you. Like, you're not going to.
Throw the ball in Powerball.
You can. You could. I saw one where a guy ran and did a drive-by and threw it in. And I was like, that was pretty cool.
Be going for long-range shots.
Picking them up and just trying
Well, that was it. They would grab you and hold you onto you, and I've seen so many times people just try and throw it in while being swung around. My research was amazing.
Just throw it in.
Just
Don't
throw it
get
in.
Close.
So, the whole idea of this show is basically it's on for an hour, and there's literally about 4 or 5 events where it's just mega loads of crazy endurance events, whether it'll be strength, conditioning, loads of other crazy stuff. And as the seasons progressed, some of the events kind of didn't appear anymore. So like when I found out about some of the things that happened in season 1 and where they ended up when I started watching it as a kid, I was like, where the heck is that event? That's really dope.
Yeah, and I'm glad you've done your research, because there was events that disappeared that just for me just disappeared. I've done no research, so I'm going to learn some stuff.
I can tell you now, my research was amazing. Like, I literally found a guy who does a retrospective on loads of stuff. So I've already watched Robot Wars as well, guys. That's going to be covered at some point. I loved Robot Wars.
Definitely got to get to Robot Wars.
He also did Crystal Maze, but Crystal Maze, I was like, that's not really that amazing, like, compared to what we're starting our first podcast off.
Oh, is that the
Gladiators.
commentator?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I love the commentator in Gladiators.
Oh, 100%.
I'm a big Meatloaf fan. Right? Go back and watch an episode. He will drop a couple of Meatloaf references.
Oh, mate,
per
it was
episode.
Great. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, mate.
Oh, mate. I'm telling you now. So.
There's in Robot Wars as well. When you watch a Robot Wars for the future podcast, listen out for it.
There is so much stuff because the whole point by the whole digression session is we're going to bring a topic and we're going to have a rotating cast of people who are going to talk about stuff, and it's going to just reminiscing about our childhoods or stuff that we're doing currently and loads of other fun stuff. So just bringing awareness to greatness. And
I think
that's pretty much it.
Bringing as well, isn't
it?
We're bringing one topic to start with, and we're seeing where that takes us.
And Gladiators, we're going all over the shop. There's been affairs, there's been, well, not murders, but deaths. There's also been substance abuse in it. Mate, there's so much darkness. It is. There's a lot of craziness that I found.
Let's start with the events.
Okay.
What was your favourite event?
So, in total, I found out there was about 24 to 25 events over the whole series of Gladiators.
Wow. And what was your favourite?
My favourite, now that I've watched an episode, it has to be, now, I'm going to go Skytrack.
First event is Skytrack, a figure of 8 suspended from the ceiling 40 feet above the arena floor. Contenders and gladiators are attached to the Skytrack, and on the whistle, they race. Katie's in yellow, Pauline's in pink. 10 points for the winner, 5 for second place, and they'll be chased by Scorpio and Lightning, who will attempt to strike the detonator being dragged by the contenders. If they're caught, the backpack explodes, and they're out of the race.
Wow, you know, I was just thinking.
Skytrack's a pretty good one.
Skytrack was one of my favourite, but I was just thinking, what is actually my favourite?
Skytrack's pretty dangerous.
My head, yeah.
So, Skytrack, as you're watching this on YouTube, there's footage of it coming up now. Just think of Scalextric as a kid, where you basically have cars and you had the remote control and you saw the car just zoom around on a track.
But you're upside down being hung from your dick.
Yeah, pretty much. Competitors are basically hung upside down and you had to run and do, I think it was 2 laps of this figure 8, which was on the ceiling of the NIA. Oh yeah, we forgot to say. It's the NIA, which is in Birmingham, just down the road from us in the Midlands. And you will watch this, and it's basically, if you've ever played Spider-Man and seen Spider-Man, how he runs up walls, that's what it was, but on a Formula 1 track, or as I call it, a giant Scalextric track.
It's actually mental.
And all the thing is, you basically had to go and just go at full pace, and all the gladiators had to do was catch up with you and hit something on your back, and you would, and it exploded, and you kind of like fell off the track a little bit and like dangled.
Yeah, because that's what you needed when you was upside down. Like
dangling more. Fireworks just on your back. I know. You just break it down. There's so much health and safety. Greatness. There's so many good events, but Skytrack was definitely one of mine, just because it's funny watching people who were like, oh, they're just skin and bones, but they were rapid, and you could see like, oh yeah, I'm a muscular guy, I've just killed you in like 3 events and now I'm not going to catch you at all. There's so many events that we're going to talk about, but Skytrack was definitely one of mine, one of my favourites.
I've been thinking about it, and I think probably the one I'm going to call Concussion.
Could be a number.
Where
there
it's the
is
one with the sticks.
Jewel.
Where
the gladiators just smash people in the head until they fall off.
Oh, 100%.
You had done one of them at the fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, them sticks are actually quite weighty.
Yeah.
For people, if you obviously watch on YouTube, there's footage of it coming up. It's just giant Q-tips and 2 fully grown men or women, because obviously you had women competitors as well as male competitors.
So big.
And they're swinging for the fences for like a minute, and you had to survive or knock your opponent off.
Oh.
That's all you had to do. Survive.
Maybe a couple of times they knocked the gladiator off.
Yeah.
You see, my favourite's a very similar one to Jewel.
Okay.
And
there's a lot of hybrids, I can tell you, that are on this list, which is a dual hybrid.
Well, yeah, it's a dual hybrid, and I think it was called Suspension Bridge.
Yes.
And you ran at each other with basically the dual sticks, but instead of the big Q-tips with like hammerheads, and you ran at each other with a suspension bridge.
On a suspension bridge. Think of a suspension bridge from Takeshi's Castle. You know how unsafe it is?
On the sides.
Suspension bridge.
nothing on its sides, and you just ran at each other.
I literally,
hammerheads.
my thing of it right here is suspension bridge. Another dual hybrid where fighting on a bridge with foam gauntlets ensues. That's what I wrote in my notes.
Mate, but it was a bit more, for me, it was a bit more interesting than Duel. Duel was brilliant. But with suspension bridge, there was a bit of pushing.
Yeah.
Good night, side.
Ben, you're looking it up right now and going like, this is crazy, aren't you? He's... He is literally about to watch Suspension Bridge. So we're gonna break down the events. So we've talked about our favourites, but I think one that was very, very iconic to begin with, because I remember having the toy of this as a kid, was Atmospheres.
5 Atmospheres. 3 points for rolling your sphere over the centre of the scoring pods, which will be defended by 2 Gladiators, the first of which is Panther.
Now, as you can tell, while watching this footage, those pads were cool. When you went over them, smoke went up, which was really cool. But the thing is, the whole point of the Gladiators is to run at them at full beam and just do it. So basically, it's like, what's the hybrid they've got now of when you do the football and the stuff like that with the massive foam balls? Disorb, but just in a giant hamster cage, and the Gladiators had to go full things.
You know your Zorb balls? You
Yes.
get in them and you run around.
Yeah.
It's basically that, but metal.
But metal, and you had to have these giant, like, the best way of describing it is, boxing mitts that basically you could gain momentum, and you just had to go over pads to get an X amount, and you had X amount of time. Atmospheres was amazing, because it's so good.
I think we should have actually pointed out before we go into events. So the idea of Gladiators was you had 5 events, I think, on the night.
Yeah, it was like 4 or 5, yeah.
Out of them 5 events, you scored points, and them points equaled... Your point gap between your other contender equaled like a second advantage on the
Eliminator, which we'll get to, which is insane.
So the whole point, every game had a point scoring system.
So Atmospheres was dope. The other one, which we talked about a little bit, was Slingshot.
Next event, Slingshot. Over to John Anderson.
Now, Slingshot, how I've wrote it down here, is you're attached to a bungee cord, you jump off a platform, bounce off the floor, and then into the air where there are coloured balls on a stand in the middle where all the balls are different colours, and the Gladiator's purpose is for you to not collect balls to return them back to your platform. It was... I imagine he did. He is probably... This is where we're going to get it.
Have we lost you for the rest of the podcast?
We have. Ben is watching Gladiators. If you just hear Dan and me talking about it passionately, Ben is actually watching an episode on YouTube. We're going to put a playlist. There is an actual guy who has put up about 150 videos of just Gladiator episodes.
Yeah, you can watch them all.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, honestly. And you can see how 90s and how insane it is. So...
double-ended hammers.
Yeah, mate, it's so good.
It's insane, bro. But yeah,
but
Slingshot.
Like, can you imagine jumping off that platform? Like,
Yes.
This bit looks fun.
Yes,
you
it does.
jump off the platform, you
bounce down.
bounce on down. You just touch the floor. You bounce back up.
Yep.
And at that moment, the first time you do it, you're probably like,
This is sick.
This is sick. And then suddenly out of nowhere,
Wolf comes in and
The best way of describing it, I just felt like it was...
nowhere.
Yeah, it's just like Miley Cyrus. I came in like a wrecking ball.
And halfway down, you see like someone like Trojan is like coming towards you.
It's like, I'm
you're
dead.
done. You can't reverse that.
No, you can't.
momentum.
You can't. And it's all you've got to do is...
+-year-old man. All I'm thinking about is that would knacker your knees.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So the best thing is, because you're on a platform and you basically run down a little bit, jump off, swing a bit like Tarzan, jump off the floor so you get a bit of momentum, and then propel yourself towards this stick in the middle with different coloured balls. But the worst thing was about it, as soon as you lost momentum, you had to kind of refigure yourself and then climb back up like the little bridge ladder thing, which is on their platform. Yeah, the steppy thing, to then compose yourself to go again. And you just had to just...
And the balls were of different points. Well,
Yeah.
The lowest one was like 2 points, middle
Yeah.
1 5, top 1 10. I think.
1, 2, and 3.
It might have
Yeah,
been
it was
1, 2,
absolutely
and 3.
sick.
But people used to climb on the basket to try and get
Yes,
more
to
height,
get
to
more
to the level.
momentum.
Get more pinging.
Yeah. Get more elevation.
Ultimate pinging.
It was so good. Now, another event. We're just going to call it. It's just called The Wall.
This is the wall. 36 feet of vertical. Our contenders have only 60 seconds in which to climb it. If they reach the top, they pick up 10 points. If, when the whistle is blown at the end of the 60 seconds, they're still on the face of the wall, they pick up a valuable 5.
Now, this is just... The wall is great, and it's kind of simple. You have to climb a wall as quickly as possible before a gladiator just basically attaches them.
Tears your leg off.
Yeah, basically grabs you by the leg and tries to rip you off the wall at any point. If you come away from the wall or the gladiator comes away from the wall at any point, they're eliminated, so they're out. So if they mess up trying to get you out, you're scot-free. But you've got, again, a time limit to get up there. Now, in research...
Was there a kicking rule?
There was a kicking rule, and also there was a rules inquiry in one of the seasons. One woman cheated because she literally undone her laces...
Because she lost her shoe, didn't
and she basically levered up her legs with Vaseline.
Nice.
So one of the girls, in one of the clips, basically grabs a shoe and is losing her shit. In the semi-finals, obviously they put the rule in. She got her revenge and absolutely destroyed that woman. And it was just glorious to see. Yeah, that's my research. That was it. It was crazy, though.
That's so clever.
The wall
It
was
is.
the one event that I used to watch and be like, yeah, even as a kid, like I'd like to have a crack at that.
Yeah.
I was a fast climber. I'm not that good anymore, but I used to be a really rapid climber on like the climbing walls
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So that used to be the event I used to be like, oh, I can do that.
Yeah, and like it's now back in. It's like there's competitive climbing now, and there's also like speed climbing that Red Bull do, which you watch and you're just like, how the heck has that woman just run up there like in 15 seconds, like literally like a Spider-Man? It's like crazy.
Did you get points if you stayed on the wall?
Yeah,
I think so.
I can
you
remember
got
people
5
like,
points if you stayed on the wall. You got 10
remember
points
people
if you
hanging
got
on for dear life with
over
like
the top.
Yeah.
mutants on their back that's ripping them to
Literally,
pieces.
because they would go for you would go for their feet, their legs,
Steroid
their
machine.
arms. The worst one was their fingers. They just had to go in your fingers. You just like imagine a fully hulked up man just trying to rip your hand off a wall. Oh, just yeah,
Wait, and then kick 'em.
yeah, just kick them. We've talked about it a little bit. Jewel is the old granddaddy, where basically your opponent, you and a gladiator on a podium for like a minute or so, and you've just got giant Q-tips, and you're swinging each other for the fences, trying to murder each other.
Stay on for 5, knock the opponent off for 10.
And then, obviously, if you got hit, you had the infamous Queen song, Yes, Another One Bites the Dust. Fantastic. Honestly, what marketing?
So
honestly.
this is actually a gladiator fact I do know and I do remember from my past.
Okay.
So Shadow was your main boy.
Oh, Shadow was a bad man.
Yeah, and he was your main boy to be up there in Jewel. I don't think he actually showed up in many other
pretty
events.
good at Jewel.
Shadow was a monster.
But he got sacked because he was taking coke.
And steroids.
And steroids. But the coke, right, in his words, as far as I can remember, like, and I'll have to go back and double check this. If you
Here we
want.
go.
Yeah, this is not. Don't like sue me, Shadow, or come looking for me. Like,
Oh.
I'm sure in an interview he said he was doing coke to make his eyes pop and get really big. So when he was staring people down in Jewel, they were like, "Oh no."
Well, I'm not going to lie. Most of the close-ups... I was going to say, but the scariest thing about it is if you look at most shots of Shadow, his eyes are about to pop out all the time. So he must have been on coke for God knows how long then.
Oh yeah.
What a lad. A lot of it. A lot of it. Next one, completely a really good one, which none of us mentioned for our favourite event, but I always found it a boring event until you got to the ladies, which was Hang Tough. Now, this was the one where...
Hang Tough's a great event.
But you had two platforms. Your contestant started on one.
To the scoring zone.
Yeah, and the gladiator started on one, and your whole idea was get to the scoring zone or the gladiator's finishing area.
If you went past the scoring zone, though, you were buggered.
Yeah.
You had to beat in the scoring zone or going for broke.
Yeah, and the best way of describing this is you are just
points if you
basically
got there.
rings.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're basically swinging off like Olympic rings, using momentum. So obviously you've got to keep that momentum going. As soon as you
Is anyone
die,
else
you're
playing
dead.
the Hang Tough music in their head right now?
Oh, 100%.
Because Hang Tough had its own. I'm sure I was only used for
For
Hang
that.
Tough.
But we all remember it because it was mainly the ladies that were the most prominent thing about it, because you just basically Lightning and Jet were goddesses at this.
Yeah, the two gladiators that they used, all the gladiators that they use for the events, they try to give gladiators specific events, things they should realistically be good at. If I remember right, it was Cobra for the men.
Cobra and like Hunter as well, weren't it? Hunter and Cobra are pretty good at it.
They were like gymnastic type fellas.
Yeah, Hunter was massive.
He was
Hunter
massive, yeah, but
was
he could be
massive.
flexible as well, man.
Yeah.
Like,
My favourite is when the gladiators fall off the rings.
Yeah.
Doesn't happen enough.
my favourite was
Ben.
the episode.
Microphone. Just because, there we go.
Yeah.
There we
My
go.
favourite was the episode with Wolf was on the rings.
Yeah,
and
because Wolf does the ring. Yeah,
and
that's true.
He gets onto the blokey, and he's on his legs and he's going, and his shorts come down, and Wolf just grabs onto his shorts and just boom, just bags him.
Just bags him. Just bags him. Oh my god.
Dick out. Did he still hang on?
He was still on, yeah.
What a lad.
If I remember right, he swung across and got the 10 points as well. Oh,
What a
What,
lad.
with his dog out?
I think he had spot pants on, but
Nah, we want it as Gladiator law. He was
full dog out.
full like Johnson having a whale of a time. Right, now this is one that I didn't see a lot, but I wish I saw a lot of. And in my research, I guarantee I'm going to watch a lot more of this. And it was Danger Zone. Now, Danger Zone was...
oh,
Yes, Danger Zone was basically you had the whole arena floor, and what the best way of describing it to make it easier for most people was the Gladiator was armed with a tennis ball
Yes,
launcher.
now I know what
Now you know what you're talking about. And basically,
This one is so
it's
good.
insane. And you had multiple multiple stations to go to as a contender.
And they had a bazooka.
And they had a bazooka. And the whole idea was you had to run to these stations and aim at a target above the Gladiator to win the event, while this person is peppering you with tennis balls. So basically, I looked at it and it goes like, you've got a Nerf gun launcher, then tennis balls, and they're like, it's like D-Day, effectively. It's the best way of describing it.
They're like raining down tennis balls on you.
Yes.
The weapons that you get are like a child's crossbow.
No, the best way I looked at it, and it's basically like they had a machine gun tennis ball launcher. The contenders or the contestants, they basically had like a t-shirt launcher gun, effectively what we would have now.
No,
And it was one
didn't
shot.
Didn't it go
Crossbow, mortar, which was the
Mortar.
t-shirt launcher.
Then you
Yeah.
had to crawl through
Yeah.
a tunnel where the holes in and you can still get.
It was
randomly
mad.
shot.
No, there was four
Absolute
weapons,
chaos.
weren't there? Crossbow, somewhere else. And
Yeah.
The big one was a rocket launcher at the end. And then if you missed all four, you had to crawl through a tube.
And
smash
the
the
thing,
big
but the
thing,
funniest thing was,
yeah.
as you used these weapons, you got closer to the Gladiator, so the more chance of you getting
Also,
absolutely
those
destroyed.
weapon stations exploded after a set amount of time.
Oh
Yeah, they
I
did.
forgot about that.
Yeah, they do. So like, if you can't get to it in time, you're doomed. And yeah, and you could scoot behind it. And mate, it was a cool event to watch when I was watching the recap for this. I was like, well excited. I was like, where was this when I was watching it? It's like it just disappeared.
And Saracen, I think, was the main gladiator.
Probably.
main gladiator.
Saracen, badass.
Saracen, what a lad. Right, now one we're very, very known for. The Gauntlet. Now this is where you would be sent to the Shadow Realm, where basically you had 3 gladiators and you just had
Three
basically...
to begin with, it increased to 5 events.
It did.
Swing the ball.
No. That's a later one. This one is like if you're going down a half pipe in skateboarding, and you had to get past the gladiator and get to the other side of the thing.
And you
But
had one with like a big long tube sausage thing.
Yes.
The next one had like the biggest
giant
Hulk
boxing
hands
gloves.
you've never
Yeah,
seen.
like these guys, they were just armed with different weapons, and then effectively, if you got past one, that was fine, and then another one would come, and you'd have to go. So you'd have to go full pout. And there's literally clips I've seen where people have gone full ball, gone through it, no problem. And I've seen also clips where people have ran into one person, and you have seen their soul leave their body, like Shang Tsung has taken their soul. Like, I'm pretty positive. Rhino Warrior. And then Trojan, and there was one other, and it was basically like, if that was the lineup, you're not getting through them, like, at all, because they were just walls.
What if Warrior was in it? You was not having a fun day, was you?
Warrior was just a monster. Warrior is
He was
huge.
a big blonde dude.
He was a monster of a man. But yeah, the Gauntlet was like,
breakfast and not metaphorically.
like literally, the Gauntlet was
Oh,
like,
this guy.
yeah, that guy, yeah, one of the face.
Blonde. Alright.
He's got a bit of a proper 90s haircut, effectively. But yeah, it was basically, you had to run the Gauntlet, and they had different weapons. So some of them you could get by because they had weird, like the boxing glove ones, you could easily get by. It was just the one with the
I was gonna
long
say that, so
tube.
the long
I've just
tube.
learned a big old story.
Go for it. Or do we have to wait for it for the controversy part?
Possibly.
Should we wait
Yeah,
for the
we can wait
controversy
for the
part of it? Because there's
controversy.
2 topics I know of.
So,
of
Hopefully this is
Going
it.
back to Gauntlet, so the pool noodle guys,
yes.
I understood their weapons. Their weapons made sense.
Yep.
The boxing glove guys, like, what were they supposed to be doing?
Just basically you punch them, but you couldn't punch them. You just basically hold
They
him.
kinda trying to
Yeah.
sandwich them, didn't
And you
they?
weren't
It
allowed
just-
to hug them or anything. They were just awkward.
Just dick shot.
Poor.
Mega fist.
There were definitely rules, weren't there? There was definitely rules where some guy got absolutely obliterated. Like, he's hit me in the penis.
Dick shot with a power fist.
Right. Now we're getting into later events, but also some fun hybrid events. So Joust.
Welcome to Joust, our 30-second battle of the bucking Broncos. The girls are sat astride sky bikes and will attempt to knock each other off with combat clubs. 10 points for the contender if they succeed, 5 points if they're still on their sky bike after the timeout.
Yes, so Joust is going to be my potential choice. Over
Joust is a dual hybrid, and I've wrote down here, Joust is a dual hybrid where you ride a bucking bronco, which looks like two triangles having sex with each other and going back and forth and trying to knock each other off.
Quite high up as well.
As well, yeah. And I was like,
So
I can't remember this.
Podium on a mechanical cow.
Yeah,
with half
that's
a
going
dual stick.
and going back and forth, and you've got to hold on, and you're going to hit the other person. Nev's face works so well right now. Benny, you okay? Yeah, look it up on your phone while we talk about it.
That's insane.
Mate, I saw it. All it is this. This is the motion, back and forth, and you're like, you've got a muscular man trying to take your head off, and you're like there defending and trying to take his head off at the same time.
On a Brocken Bronco?
Yes.
Like, just staying on them is hard enough.
It's hard enough. But the thing is, I looked at it and I was like, oh, this is going to be impossible. But it's only going backwards and forth. It's not kind of like an actual bucking bronco where it's like, I'm going to go sideways, whatever. It's just one
round.
motion.
No, it spins round.
Does it?
I definitely recall it spinning round.
Okay. There's probably footage of a Joust game going on right now.
Hold on to it, wait for it to spin, and then
Boom.
go for a mega
I'm pretty positive
You
it was
gotta
just
remember
back
you
and
also doing
forth. It was back and forth, but at a higher pace. But I don't know. Joust is I've wrote down here as a dual hybrid because there's a lot of hybrids that come into play. The next one is one that we talked about a little bit. Powerball.
Powerball. A new event this season, contenders start at opposite ends of the Powerball pitch and are allocated either red or blue balls, which they'll try to deposit in one of the 5 scoring baskets. Now, the 4 outer baskets are worth 2 points, while the centre basket will score 3.
Which is a cross between rugby and British Bulldog, and there's different like baskets
Were they
where
set up in like a 5 shape?
yeah, they were,
Like a
and it's
5
basically
dice.
both contestants had balls of their colour, and they had to get them in these baskets. But you had gladiators basically stopping them getting into it. So basically, they could rugby tackle you, they could try and trip you up and do whatever. And so if you were fast, you were really good at this game. If you weren't fast, you were doomed.
I want to know if there's a bulldog league.
Yeah,
Probably.
Well, I was about to say, you can create an entire sport out of Powerball.
You could.
There was a show called Powerball, and it was just one team, and
I would watch that
over.
because Powerball is brutal. Like,
Powerball league. There you go, boys.
we talk about it, but seeing
Yeah,
like
Channel 4, this sounds
some
like
of
a
the
job for you.
like seeing some of these
Every
guys.
county in the country's got their own Powerball team.
Oh,
Oh, mate, Aviston's be dangerous.
'Cause
They're
they-
trained for that shit.
they're trained for that shit because that's going to be one of our things one of these years. It's basically that event they have every year where people die.
Not Murder Ball. I
Yeah.
actually think it's called Murder
Probably
Ball.
called Murder Ball.
Newton ball.
Yeah. But no, honestly, Powerball was super sick. I love it. Honestly, super cool, stupid, crazy event, and it was just British Bulldog. So like, it was just. Yeah, you just seen people again die like on that. People literally, they got pushed over. They were rugby tackled. It was literally, if the ball left your hand, you were doomed, or the referees would blow it and go back to your zone and get a new one.
Do you know what I'm just thinking to myself, right? So I've got a bit of a thing about women in combat sports, and this isn't like if women want to do combat sports, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
That's on them. I can't watch it. I don't like it. It makes me feel uncomfortable.
Okay.
When I was watching Gladiators and getting women dragged around the Powerball pitch, I was just like, yeah, go on.
Go on then, have a good time. But that was the funniest thing about Gladiators as well, which we're going to probably talk about a bit. It was you'd have your normal person like office worker Karen, and then like I don't know, ice cream salesman Steve, and then you got these fully grown athletes who go to the gym
Like
24/7,
Legitimate bodybuilders.
like literally try and murder you. But then you had some of the guys who were literally like
Steroid death
fitness
machines.
freaks as the seasons got on, and literally were like, yeah, they held their own. So, we talked about it already a little bit. Skytrack, which is scale electric, upside down, absolute craziness. That is absolutely insane. Now, here we talked about suspension bridge a little bit. Another dual hybrid with, obviously, giant foam hammers, like literally a log with hammers just going at each other.
I like the fact that when they redid Gladiators, they're redoing it now. But when they redid it in the early 2000s, was it?
Yeah. It was Ian Wright was a commentator and a few others.
They did it over a swimming pool.
Yeah, they did.
It went away from the soft play area.
It did.
And suspension bridge was made all that little bit better. The fact that someone was going in the
water. Yeah. There you go.
Cold. To work for any other event. The suspension bridge, it just seemed to fit really well.
All the women in the new Gladiators look as big as the old men Gladiators.
It's true. They are all massive. Well, we're going to save that because we want your genuine reaction. Some of them are terrifyingly scary. Like, literally, you'd be like, you're more manly than me.
I'm not seeing anything of them.
Okay, so one that we haven't... I did not know this was an event. It's called Tilt.
Welcome to Tilt. So called because those two tilt boards will move forward and back depending on who's got the advantage in our high-tech tug-of-war. The advantage begins with the contender who's on the lower tilt table. There'll be 2 pulls of 30 seconds duration, scoring the contender 5 points for tugging the gladiator off or 2 points for a stalemate. This is a game of balance and strength.
Now, tilt is basically you have the dual bridges or platforms, should we say, that people, but they would tilt. And as you're trying to not fall off, it was tug of war.
Yes.
Yeah, and basically you had to obviously tug of war, and obviously as the platforms went one way or the other, it's just you're trying to fit your state in. Watching this, I was like, I cannot remember watching this at all. Who?
Michael Jackson.
What?
Bum, 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 bum.
He'd just be doing the...
Yeah, just the smooth criminal lean all the time. But it looked like at one point, if you could physically get it all the way to your thing, you could just tilt it and just be like, right, I'm just going to keep pulling as hard as I can.
Michael Jackson lean.
Michael Jackson lean. So yeah, that's one of the events. I didn't even realise that was an event until it was told.
Yeah, I did not remember that.
No.
You started describing it.
There's a few I can't even remember, which is crazy. So that was one. Also, the other one that you were talking about, also kind of like suspension bridge, a little bit of a hybrid, was called Hit and Run. Now, this was obviously inspired by Takeshi's Castle. You run across a suspension bridge while the gladiators swing giant foam balls at you.
I never understood this one as part of Gladiators. It looked fun.
It did look fun.
And it was a good
That's
event.
the one I reckon I could probably do.
That's what I'm saying. I think that's the one us common Joes would do okay at.
You went from Gladiators ripping you to pieces to having a fun play afternoon
That's the
with
break.
you.
Yeah. That's like, here's your event to recover yourself after getting destroyed on
You just
like the
played
gauntlet.
Then you get to run across a bridge and try not to get pushed off.
It is.
Them balls didn't look like they did damage.
No.
They looked like they were heavy enough to just take you off.
To take you off if you were fun. But again, it was like if you were fast on that, you were done. Like you were like done. So
Gladiators is essentially just try not to get concussion.
okay, here's another event I did not know existed. It's called Pursuit. And basically, it was an obstacle course where you got chased down by the gladiators. So it was basically going over and under stuff and then on balance beams and loads of other stuff. So basically, what you see in a kid's play park with a full-grown, like, gentleman or female chasing after you and then basically catch you.
Yeah, they just played Tig, didn't they?
No, it's just basically aggressive TIG over obstacles.
I love it.
It's pretty fun. Pretty simple. I've left 2 for last because I love these because I always remember these were the ones where I think people got hurt the most.
Nice.
First one, Pendulum. Pendulum is where you basically were on a giant, like I don't know how many sided, the giant ball with a cargo net around it.
Yeah.
And basically you had to hold on and the gladiator's there with you and it swung left and right off the ceiling and you had to survive X amount of time.
You like climbed round.
Yeah, and you climbed around because he is chasing you down or she's chasing you down and you're like basically doing the same. It looks so much fun.
And like
Yeah.
a cargo net wrapped round it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was absolutely bad shit
Remember
insane.
that one?
That one was sick. But obviously, if you got your leg or arm caught in that, you were doomed because it was constantly swinging back and forth. You would just be like ragdolling and you couldn't get out. And unreal. Final event that I could remember
So
that
you've
I wrote down.
missed some.
I've missed a few because I didn't even remember them. So there's one that's called, and I believe it's called Pole something. There's footage of it coming up now, and it basically was 2 silver giant poles.
Yes, that's one of the ones I thought.
Yeah, and basically you had to get to the top of it before the other gladiator did.
And they were like little
Pole
sticks.
position by any chance.
It might be.
But they
I'm
were like
trying to
little
read
sticks
this.
that came out of the pole, and you
Yeah.
kind of climbed up, and when whoever hit the red button first,
All the sticks
all the
fell
sticks
down.
just
I
they went
remember.
down and down you went.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you didn't remember this one, Lee.
I can't remember that one because I think that was one that I rarely saw, but I just can't.
The big one that I think you've missed. I think you've missed a couple, but there's a big one that you've missed, and I'm surprised you've missed it.
It might be the one that I'm springing.
One of the best ones there.
Which one?
Pyramid.
Yeah, I was about to bring up Pyramid. That was the next one.
You had one left.
No, that was it. I was leaving Pyramid till last because Pyramid is the one where I'm pretty positive you would die on that event.
Oh yeah.
There was another one.
Refresh my memory.
Whiplash.
Pyramid. Do you know when you go to the Wild Kids, you got them kind of soft, square things? Yeah. So
one
a
side.
Giant pyramid out of that.
Yeah.
And
Foam.
you had to run up.
Get past the Gladiator.
The Gladiator weren't chasing you. He was on the pyramid already.
Already at the top.
He was allowed to do whatever he wanted.
Yeah. So
To
basically,
send you back
Gladiators. So basically, how it was is you had one male and one female contestant at the bottom of the pyramid, and you had two gladiators at the top, one female, one male. And then basically, you had X amount of time to get to the top of the pyramid and hit a button.
So you run round to the side where the woman is and run up.
Yeah, but the thing is, the other adult gladiator will follow you. So their whole goal is to stop you advancing up the pyramid. I've seen people thrown off this thing, and this thing was made of foam, but it would hurt like hell.
So when they did the Gladiator World Cup, there's a,
There is one.
it was not actually called the World Cup. I can't remember what it's called, but
Was it Gladiators versus
it
Gladiators?
might have been International Gladiators.
Okay.
They brought all the contenders together at one point. And
Yeah.
had like a Gladiator World Cup.
They did.
And Wesley Two Scoops, which we're going to later, was absolutely
What a
phenomenal.
lad.
And he had a gladiator, I think it was Russian. He's like
Okay.
Dynamo or something like that.
Okay.
And
If he dies.
He dies.
that honestly, Nev, that's how he was. He was a proper stone-faced guy, and he was one of the ones that always did pyramid and just like pulled people off. Just like
And it's basically how I describe it to people. If you've ever seen those horrible Alien versus Predator movies, and you just see all those aliens advancing up the pyramid, and you've only got like 3 predators at the top, that's all you had to do. But like, just survive. But it was insane because you would literally get pushed off, and then it was like literally. Like literally, you are just going down like rag and bone, man. Like literally, just one arm's gone one way, the leg's gone the other. You're gonna pick up an injury, and there was probably injuries occurred because of pyramid.
oh yeah, you'd imagine so.
And then the last event, which I can't remember much of, was called Whiplash.
Yes, the contender has 30 seconds to try and heave the gladiator out of that circle. They both have a one-handed grip on a dog bone, and it's 10 points up for grabs.
And I can't remember it at all because I dozed off while doing the research at one point, and that was one of the events. I can't remember what it is, but it's on the screen now if you're watching it on YouTube. I can't remember it at all.
I might be daydreaming, and I might be mixing 2 shows up because I remember it was on Danny Dyer's Hardest
Okay.
Blokes in Britain, but wasn't there like a sumo match up high as well?
Right. So there was some. So in my research as well, there were some events which basically had normal wrestling and sumo balls and stuff like that. But basically, what they were never televised events. When Gladiators did tours around the UK, they had taped events and non-taped events, and they had different gladiators that weren't on the roster to actually turn up to the non-taped events to participate. So they basically had wannabe gladiators, so you'd pay all this money to go see your favorite gladiators, and it's like, yeah, this is Scorpion, or like Dave. and
show up like I'm gonna see Shadow,
yeah,
and there's Dave.
and it's like he's not here, he's not there.
The picture of Dave.
Yeah, and it was just
small
like
white
some
dude
of
with
the
a big
taped
moustache.
events. Yeah, so some of the taped events, obviously you had the big ones there, but obviously some of them they just didn't have all the events as they travelled around, so they just ripped you off. Like back in the day with WWF when they're like, we're going to come back to the UK and it's going to be amazing.
I've just researched Whiplash.
What is Whiplash?
This is the one I'm thinking of. Oh, okay.
Basically.
Yeah.
Go on, microphone, Nev. Go on.
You have a cone attached to another cone with a handle in it,
Okay.
and then you both hold on to it, and you try and rag the other person around. I don't really know what the rules
I think it entered into sumo. I think you go and rag them out of the ring.
Okay.
What,
Maybe that's
she
it
got
then.
She got the ting, so I don't know if she won or not.
Okay.
Oh yeah, if you let go, I think you lose.
Jeez Louise.
She absolutely ragged Nightshade round.
So yes, they were just the events.
Fucking hell.
It's just like watching. I love Ben. Ben's genuine reaction is just like some of these events you look back and watch and you go like, how?
I don't remember this one.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I didn't even understand it. I can't remember it. But moving on from events, we had the granddaddy of all daddies to finish off the whole show. Yes, so I've got all the names here, mate. I'm going to tell you now. I can tell you all the names. It's amazing. There's a big, thick wad of like.
So after all the events, you did the
Eliminator.
Time now to move on to the Eliminator.
Now, the Eliminator was basically your God tier. So good.
I can remember the first thing you had to do was, I think the first series was ran to the cargo nets, but they introduced these like poles that you had to go over, under, under. Then the cargo net.
Yeah.
Then the women got to do monkey bars.
Hand bike.
Because
the men had to do the hand bike. The hand bike looked insane.
Oh, yeah. And
then, so basically you had a car, after that you had to go all the way up a cargo net.
You had the rolling balance beam.
Yes, you had the rolling balance beam. Yeah, you had to run across. And then you ran into, because it varies from season to season because they changed it up a little bit now. Cargo net all the way up to the top when you ran, and then made up some time because you went down on a zip line afterwards. Banging. And then after the zip line, it was either two things.
Zip line.
No, it was
see someone coming and like hook something to your balance.
Exactly. But the thing is, all they had was they had so much padding. When I remember watching it as a kid, I was like, if they let go of it, they literally, it was like something from a Jackie Chan movie. There were so many boxes. So they come down, and then after that, you had one long balance beam, or as they changed it later on, it was two balance beams. So you had to seesaw it and run down. And then you had, and I quote, the Travelator.
Everybody knows the Travelator.
If you don't know the Travelator, think of running up an escalator the wrong way at a high speed.
And it's not steps.
It's just smooth surface. And this literally, we've watched so many episodes where a guy's miles ahead and then he gets beaten by the Travelator and the slow guy comes and goes up, gets it there first time.
Travelator in a one-off. Yeah.
And that's
the
it.
amount of people that, it's like, if you've seen Gladiators, a episode of Gladiators, if you've seen a clip of the Travelator,
we're putting them on right now.
Any time that you walk past an empty escalator,
you go, I can run up that.
You just see it in your head, don't you?
Yeah,
Contender,
you can. Ready.
No, I'm going my first whistle.
And then, we're going to talk about all the people and all the phrases we come back in a second. But then after you've got up that, you grab a rope and you go through a paper sign of the Gladiators logo, and that is you completed, and you are the winner.
I only watched one episode of the 2000 ones.
Okay.
I was sorely disappointed.
Okay.
That the paper had gone and they'd replaced it with like foam boxes.
Oh, that's boring.
Yeah, and they kind of like smashed away through the foam wall.
So sad. You have paper. It was fun. It had the logo on, and then later on, it had like a black mesh behind it, so it looked cool. But yes, so that's Gladiators in a nutshell. Now, the things we remember is kind of like we've talked about it a little bit. The referees, the commentary team, John Anderson, just literally contenders ready, or you will go on my first whistle.
Contenders ready! Gladiators ready!
Like literally stuff like that
in the
for us.
Thickest Scottish accent.
100%.
Like, it's basically Alex Ferguson in the referee outfit.
100%. And the best thing about it was as well, in later series as well, his interaction with some of the gladiators, mainly Wolf, telling him off saying you will get suspended or thrown out for doing, and like basically like you were saying at the beginning, Dan, him playing up to like the wrestler montage and these bigger than life egos. So good.
Yeah.
And then then we have the should we say the presenters. So we had Erika Johnson. Everyone remembers Erika, mainly from Shooting Stars.
Back when she was fit.
Yeah. Erika Johnson. Erika. And then we had John Fashanu. Big Man Fashanu, who's literally, his catchphrase was, whoppa! That's all he kept saying. Or a wooga. It's a wooga or whoppa or something. I'm putting in clips now.
A wooga! A wooga! A wooga! A wooga! A wooga! A wooga! A wooga!
I'll let you guys be the judge. Like, literally, it's insane. Like, he would just, it's basically, looking back on it, I laugh and go, like, it's like Anchorman and whammy, like, that bad. But it is quite funny.
The one and only thing he ever presented. He was a footballer prior.
He was a footballer prior, and then he just left. And then he got replaced by, I want to say, I forget his name, it's Jeremy something. but he was a rugby player, an ex-rugby player as well.
I don't recall that. I thought
Yeah.
the next guy was Ian Wright.
No, Ian Wright was in the 2000. Yeah, so there was another one. He's coming on screen now, but
Yeah, I
someone
don't
replaced
recall
Fashnu.
anyone replacing
Yeah, but this
Fashnu.
is obviously when we stopped watching it because we grew out of it in a way, or effectively like, nah, we're just going out and doing things.
Do we know who's presenting the newest one?
Not a clue. I know it's on BBC, and it's basically
Probably someone from Love Island.
maybe
Yeah, it'd be a bird from Love Island and it'd be an
Tommy
ex-footballer.
Fury.
Tommy Fury. Oh my god. But no,
Or a footballer.
Or even worse, Tyson Fury.
that'd be hilarious. Actually, that would be. Please make that happen, BBC. That would be amazing.
Tyson Fury's one of the gladiators. It's called Caravan.
Mate, that's amazing. He should be a contender if they did a celebrities one. That would be amazing. Oh my god. I love that. I'm all in. Now, gladiator names. You might remember some of these. You
So,
might not remember some of these. Okay.
We go originals, we go OGs.
Yes.
Lightning.
Yes.
Jet.
Yes.
Nightshade.
Yes.
I think she's second season.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to. Is it Panther?
Yeah, Panther's one.
And
Yeah,
she
you got
was
that.
Miss Universe.
She was. Panther is pretty wow. Yeah. Very 90s hair as well. Not gonna lie, it's all out there. All out there hair, Panther.
Proper Saved by the Bell look.
Yeah, proper Saved by the Bell. That's the best way of describing her. Yeah.
There's
I'm
gotta
liking
be
this,
more
Dan.
than 4 women.
There is. Are you ready for this? Okay, so you've got a few. Can you remember any? Can you remember any, Ben? Because I can't remember. I can remember about 6 before I started writing all these down.
I can remember Amazon. You mentioned her.
Yeah,
she's
Amazon's
a
another one.
Big, tall, blonde woman.
Yeah, I love this.
What have we got?
Lightning, Jet, Panther, Amazon, and Nightshade. You've said so far. Do you want me to go through them? Because you'll be like, who the f is this? Okay, so the women one, we have Jet, Lightning, Panther, Flame, Phoenix, Scorpio, Falcon, Nightshade, Zodiac, Amazon, Vogue, Laser, Rebel, Rio, Fox, Gold, Rocket, and Siren.
Don't believe you.
Some of them I haven't even... Rocket, yeah.
Ice. Or laser. Alright.
Laser. That's why I always joke when because they literally said this, and I was like, I can't remember any of these. Now, boys, so you named about, I would say 5 or 6 there. The guys. Here we go. Here we go. The guys. So we got a score system so far. Women, we only remember a few. The guys, I can tell you now, I didn't know probably 7 of these.
I reckon I'll do better with the blokes.
Okay, here we go.
So
Go for it.
Definitely go Shadow,
Yes.
Rhino,
Yes.
Warrior,
Yeah.
Trojan.
Yes.
Hunter, Cobra, Saracen,
Yep.
Wolf.
Yep. There's a few here which I can tell you now you will not get. Because some of them, I'm not even going to lie, the last 2 that were said on here, I literally bursted out laughing. I was like, someone had a bit of a Star Trek fantasy.
Yeah, no, I'm
Okay,
struggling.
so we're going with this. Warrior, you got that one. Shadow.
Yeah.
Cobra.
Yeah.
Wolf. The one you guys didn't say. Hawk.
I forgot about Hawk.
Saracen, you did say.
Yeah.
Hunter.
Yeah.
Trojan.
Yeah.
Now, the guys that replace Shadow, Raider, and Rhino. Exactly, who the
I
f
can
is
remember
Raider?
now.
And now this is where it gets a bit interesting. Ace, Diesel,
Yeah.
Khan, Vulcan.
I think I remember Vulcan.
And literally, Ben's doing... Ben is just doing some research on his phone.
Yeah, I remember Vulcan.
He
Vulcan
was an
was
Australian gladiator, apparently.
Yeah, that came over to here. Yep. So that is it. That's the girls and the boys.
Face going on.
But I'm telling you now, like
There you go.
some of them you wouldn't like remember just because they had random names. Khan or Kane. Khan.
You know, I just said Shadow was the only black gladiator. I forgot about Saracen.
Saracen.
Saracen was potentially my favourite gladiator.
So,
It was badass.
would you like to know a fun fact that I learned? I'm going to call this Gladiator Fun Facts. On the first taping of Gladiators, Lightning and Saracen weren't originally going to be gladiators. They were originally going to be contestants until they got asked to be gladiators.
Mate, Saracen walked through the door and someone went,
He's probably
Yeah, he's a machine. And that was the funniest thing about it, because you look at him, because he impressed them so much in their trials that they were like, yeah, that's true.
We've got this wrong.
They used to advertise the trials. Remember them advertising the trials? You'll have to find the clip for this.
Oh, I can put the clip in now.
Many were called, but few were chosen. When London Weekend Television announced they were looking for super fit members of the public to appear in a new sports entertainment television series, the response was immediate and impressive. Over 2,000 hopefuls, nationwide, from all walks of life, attended sports centres up and down the country, where they were put through a telling and exhaustive circuit training course. Contenders were expected to cycle 1 kilometre, row 500 metres. The men had to bench press 40 kilograms 30 times, and the women 20 kilograms 20 times, and finally run 800 meters and all against the clock. For some, the effort was just too great. Exhaustion, nerves, and dehydration were the main causes of failure to complete the course. But for others, a catch of breath, a quick drink, and they were ready for the next round. As many chin-ups as possible in 1 minute, or as many push-ups for the girls. From over 2,000 tryouts, just 24 contenders went forward to the National Indoor Arena in Birmingham.
That's it. And I felt really bad for these people because they filmed you doing all these intense exercises, and there's literally clips of people falling down and fainting. They just filmed them.
When it's something stupid, like you had to be able to like do like 20 press-ups.
20 press-ups in a certain thing,
and
chin-ups,
chin-ups and
unlimited
stuff like that.
chin-ups. You had to run 8 miles at under a certain amount of time. Like literally, the clip I just played, Dan. When you listen back to this, you would literally, your face speaks how I felt trying to do this.
I was a young teenager listening to it and thinking, I could do that.
Okay, let's get it up, Ben. Put on your go on YouTube and type in Gladiator Episode 1, and it's the first minute or so, and we'll hilariously edit it out now.
Welcome to intermission.
That's just the contenders. So yeah, like imagine you're going to a tryout and then they film you failing, and then you make the cutting reel of
I
that.
think if you go back and look at the two people that were failing, like Ben said, the woman that falls over looks like she wandered in from the shop, like doing a shopping.
Just a casual Birmingham shopping
I was
spree.
watching over Ben's shoulders. The second one, I had to take a double glance to make sure it weren't Cactus Jack, if I'm completely honest with you. It looked like he was done. And then the other guy that's like on the floor, he's not good.
No, they just were like, can you just, you're going to be on TV, just fall over and look like depressed.
I mean, he didn't actually do any exercises. As Warrior walked in to wish them all luck, and he was like, oh, I've hurt my leg.
Imagine you just go that, and then they go like, cool, so now you're going against these guys, and you literally see like these freaking Olympic like athletes who are just going to destroy you.
When Ben started playing that video, then that clip, it starts with like we went out and asked members of the public if they wanted to be on TV and do this like show.
Yeah.
I don't think they would have been able to. Gladiators was the first of its kind. They wouldn't have been able to say it's like, or it will be similar to.
Because
there was no
there was. I can tell.
Sorry, one of the games you're going to play is Powerball.
No, so this is with my research, there was a guy in America that came up with the idea for doing it as an event thing, and then eventually got it done in, I believe it was in the late 80s as American Gladiators, but it never really took off. So American Gladiators was like in 1989. It didn't take off in America that well. We then got a hold of it and went, we're going to go bigger, better production values, because they kind of did it, but it didn't have the pizzazz of what it looked like.
Let's face it, we said we're going to do exactly the same and turn into a bit of a pantomime, because British people love a bit of a pantomime.
And we were, well, to be honest, 90s television, because this is going to be on multiple podcasts, we're going to talk about different 90s shows. We were spoiled in the 90s for great television, like literally, you name it, entertainment. We were just spoiled rotten. The 90s was freaking dope. Exactly.
No one cancelled you.
It was absolutely insane.
Gladiators just Pat Sharp's Funhouse for adults.
We're going to talk about Funhouse at some point.
That,
like kids shows at some point is mad.
And when we do talk about Funhouse, that needs to be part of the topic.
Funhouse. Also, there's another one.
For children.
Yeah, but also I don't know. I was a big fan of Finders Keepers.
I have no idea what
So Finders Keepers was basically think Funhouse's set, but then you would go into a bathroom and go like, this is something you might brush you use every morning. You'd be like, oh, toothbrush, and then literally the kids would run around and destroy everything to find it. Not as good as Funhouse, but it was awesome because you literally, if you destroyed the room too much, you'd have to go back in there in a previous event to go like, oh, you need to find the next thing, and you're like, oh, I've screwed myself over here. But yeah, getting off topic, that's another thing. But yeah, Gladiators, Birmingham.
I'm not thinking about Pat Sharp's hair now.
His hair.
I've gone bold.
If you had Pat Sharp's hair, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, if I could grow hair right now, I would have the best mullet.
He had a mega mullet.
If you had Pat Sharp's hair.
Proper 80s, 90s mullet. What a god. It's on the screen now if you're watching this on YouTube.
Pat Sharp's hair.
Unbelievable.
Or get a mullet wig.
Get a mullet wig.
Pat Sharp wig.
Pat Sharp wig. But yes, so...
We can get a Pat Sharp wig. Next time I go drinking, I'm going as Pat Sharp.
Oh, there we go.
Every time I go drinking.
Every time I go drinking.
Amazing.
So the origins started in America, eventually came over here, and then there was some controversy galore. So there's been two main topics that I found out which were controversial at the time. The first one, obviously, is Shadow, and we've touched about it a little bit. He was found doing drugs and steroids and other stuff that led to depression and loads of other crazy stuff.
Found in air quotes.
Yeah.
You could look at that man and you knew.
You knew something wasn't
That
right.
man was doing drugs.
Yeah, so that was the first bit of controversy because they had to let him go because of that, and then they obviously replaced him with Raider and Rhino, etc. and stuff like that. The other thing that was hilarious, which was downplayed a lot, but you could tell if you watched TV tapings of it now, but obviously they came out later and said it, Hunter and Erika Johnson, they were an item at one point.
Yeah, I knew this.
Yeah, so like they were seen in public together and everyone was like, oh yeah, the son, and all the others were like, yeah, they're banging, they're definitely in a relationship. They're like, no, we're not. And you're like, every woman who watched Gladiators, and I'm going to show you now, Hunter's a good looking lad, and if he was like, I'd
But
take one
weren't
for the
Hunter
team,
banging
Ulrika.
Jet at the same time.
Yeah, he was, yeah. That she was also seeing someone else as well, so it was kind of like, that was a controversial thing. So what was the thing that you found with the controversy of Gladiators, Ben?
Warrior.
Okay, what was the deal with Warrior?
Warrior was jailed for working for Britain's Pablo Escobar
Brilliant.
Shot the front... When?
in 2007.
So obviously the show had finished in 2000. So 7 years later, he was what, working for a drug lord in England? This is news to me. Oh, okay. Ben's looking up.
So how did Warrior get involved?
Bodyguard?
He was passing information from a corrupt cop because he was friends with the cop.
Okay.
So he was passing it.
So he was telling...
From Davis, the possibly the cop,
Mm-hmm.
to the Escobar figure.
Wow.
So basically, it was a rat, but
He's a rat.
Yeah, but he was
a mole.
He's
he
a
was
mole.
just moving the information.
Oh,
So
that was a
moved
good
into the
TV
cop-
series on
so
Channel
moved
5.
into the copper's house, and undercover officers managed to bug the home. Da, 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 da.
Maybe he's going to come back in the new one as the mole.
Well, that was the thing, wasn't it? In the 2000 series, Wolf came back as the Gladiators' mentor.
Warrior got 15 months, but was released after 6.
Jeez Louise. You want to... Oh.
He came back as first of all, he came back in an episode of like old versus new,
Yes, he did.
and they did like old Gladiators versus new Gladiators.
Yeah.
And the fans were still very receptive to Wolf.
Of course.
And so
He's one of the most iconic gladiators I would say you would remember. If you could think of any gladiator, it was always Wolf.
So I think it was ITV. So at the time they were like, "Yeah, we need to have him kicking about. We obviously can't be a gladiator anymore." So
Yeah.
let's
Oh, it's so
make
good.
him the coach.
Yeah, and it was just like, there's certain things you remember as a kid where you just look at it and you just smile because you go like, I can't remember that event. Oh, I remember that event. And you can remember the competitors. Now, there's always going to be one competitor that we all remember fondly, and you already mentioned him already.
Oh, see, I thought you were going to say somebody different, but then I remembered that you're not
No.
actually a proper Hinkleyite.
No.
See, if you was born and bred Hinkley, the number one contender that you'd want to talk about is
Okay.
Gene Clench.
Okay, so we've got
Gene
two.
Clench, what an icon.
Is that a woman or a bloke?
Woman.
A woman.
Live around the corner from here, Lee.
Okay, all right,
She
okay,
lived on Gospel Road.
okay. Just a
Uh,
date where almost I live, guys, on a podcast.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So she was
stand
from.
by for Lee's full address.
Yes, there we go. So she was on Gladiators. Did she win?
She won. Yeah.
She won.
Yeah,
I need to look out for an episode with Gene Clench in now.
Yeah. So what happened was in an episode with a different contender, they got to about event 2, 3.
Okay.
And I think it was actually Powerball.
Someone got injured.
Somebody got proper mashed up. And Gene Clench come running on this. I think she was a grandma at the time, but like this grandma from Inkley. And you're like,
Wait, God.
She filled in, yeah.
What?
And then went on to win that event, and then went on to win the whole thing. And then reappeared in the International Gladiators.
That's cool.
Which is where our man Two Scoops comes in.
Love Two Scoops. Two Scoops Billy or Lily or whatever. He is literally...
You don't remember Two Scoops?
Mate,
So
this guy's
you
a
say he's
demigod.
red, he could quite literally be.
Mate.
His trick before going to Gladiators was jumping over cars. He would run.
What?
Wait till you see him fly. He's unbelievable. I'm ready. Here he goes. And he flies past Saber. Goodbye, Trojan. And straight through the Terminator. It's like trying to tackle Smoke. He's so quick. First you have him, and then he's gone. He's gone to the 9.8 seconds. He's got 10 points. Whoa, baby. That was unreal. That was fantastic. Look at him go. It's as if, really, they're not there. They seem to be baffled by his speed and his amazing alertness. Great agility, ducks and dives. That was worth coming for.
That is one of the fastest times I have ever seen, and I'm sure everybody there has ever seen. 9 seconds, 10 points! Hunter, he's fast.
He was skipping all over the place there. I mean, this guy jumps cars. He does, he's all over the place, but you've got to give him credit. He's the man.
That car's not driving towards him. He would just run up and just hurdle a car.
This guy was rapid. No, Ben, I'm not going to...
Why would you do that?
Ben, you know when like you watch Ninja Warrior and you've got...
Oh, mate, it was a big lad.
Mate. So you know how you have Ninja Warrior like in Japan, and it's always these fishermen that literally are small, but they're built like oxes and whatever. This was Two Scoops, but basically this guy, I remember watching him do the gauntlet, and he had a record time because he just rapidly went round everybody. He was so fast.
He would use it like a half pipe.
Yeah, he would lose it. It was like basically he played Tony Hawk's with the Gladiators, but in real life.
Wesley Two Scoops.
Wesley Two Scoops, mate. Hopefully, I've got highlight footage of him playing on the YouTube right now. But this guy, whenever you heard his name, you were like, mate, that's amazing. And literally, some of the stuff he would do,
he would just eliminator in like 30 seconds.
It was unreal. Like he had.
Wesley Two Scoops.
He literally had the quickest times on so many events because he was just rapid.
I think his surname was something different, but they called him Two Scoops.
He's literally watching it as we're talking. He's going to watch some Two Scoops highlights.
He's like, gone, mate. See ya.
16 seconds. Yeah, that's what I'm telling you, mate. He just obliterated people. But the thing was with this show, you could it was so relatable to us because you'd have these godlike, like almost like pro wrestler type personas like Wolf, Hunter, Warrior, etc. And then you had Steve from Surrey, who's a van driver. Mate, absolute god tier. Honestly, so good. But I think the best thing, because we're obviously with this podcast, we're always going to talk about random stuff all the time as well as other topics. Like this obviously was in a point where it spawned so many other big things like Total Wipeout, Takeshi's Castle. Okay, we've got controversy. Is it controversy?
Shadow.
Oh,
Yes.
we're back to Shadow.
Who is on a charge of drug-fueled blackmailing.
Oh yeah, I actually do know this.
Okay. Wow, is this now currently?
No, this was a few years back now.
Oh, okay.
Pre-pandemic, like we're talking a few years back.
Oh, okay. I love how we've got Gladiator controversy.
59 years old, so I don't know how long ago that was. On a charge of drug-fueled blackmailing plot.
So he was done for drug mailing drug.
Shadow, real name Jefferson King, looked worlds away from his hunky heyday as a gladiator in a photo released by the police.
I mean, he looked like a crackhead.
In the police.
Yeah.
Like a crackhead. Anyway.
This is why I love this, because it's like we remember these people fondly, and then there's just some absolute madness that we find, and we're like, oh.
I got a few more stories.
Okay.
Oh, here we go.
Okay.
Michael Wilson, known as Cobra.
Cobra.
A admitted he drank a lot during Gladiators, often downing a bottle of wine before going on air.
Go for the microphone there, please. So
a bottle of wine.
Cobra.
And then he played Powerball. Right?
He'd be shit-faced. Okay.
Phoenix.
Okay.
Was sentenced to 150 hours of community service in 1996
for
attacking her ex-husband due to custody agreement.
Okay. Interesting.
That ain't too controversial. That shit happens.
I'm loving this Gladiator controversy news, or just Gladiator news.
So the drug-fueled blackmail part. Jefferson King had demanded £1,000 last year from a mother for the safe return of her son, who was allegedly being held hostage by a gang.
What?
Allegedly, just gonna say that like
So
the Michael
he
Jackson.
took a shitload of coke, kidnapped somebody.
Did he kidnap them allegedly, or was it just like, oh yeah, I've got somebody, or did he kidnap somebody?
I think if you ring somebody up and say, "I've got your son," that's kidnapping.
I don't know. You could say that and just.
Whoa. So he was born in London to Jamaican parents, moved to New York, aged 14.
Is this Shadow?
Yeah.
Okay.
Where he joined the American football team before becoming an addict during the 1970s crack boom. So he's an ex-crack addict, got clean, got on Gladiators, got back on drugs.
While being on Gladiators.
He later turned, in 1995, was caught snorting cocaine.
There we go.
He later turned to heroin and crack. Succession of prison sentences. 2009 went into rehab. Stayed clean, revealing in 2011 that he beat his addiction and worked a rehab clinic to help people suffering from drug problems. However, by last year, he was back on illegal drugs.
So he's just basically.
Basically, he's a baghead.
So he's just basically on and off, on and off. Oh, that's a shame.
Who's next?
Who's next?
Still Shadow.
Shadow has just got like a closet of like just insane things.
Go on to the warrior thing.
All right. Go on. I need this on the microphone, Ben, because I'm picking it up, but it's just very faint.
Warrior.
Yeah.
Was caught by police with shopping bags full of steroids and CS gas.
Brilliant.
Brilliant.
Why has he got the CS gas?
CS gas?
It just says CS gas. Then there was the drug baron thing that I told you about.
Yeah. Now, the question is, because it was in Birmingham at the National Indoor Arena, which is now named something completely different now, did you ever go to any of the live events?
No.
I went to 2 of them when I was doing summer school, basically like a summer club back in the day when it was obviously when I was a kid. And we had to make signs and loads of other fun stuff. I have very vivid memories of me and my brother making signs. And I had a rhino one, and I drew the best rhino ever. And I remember he gave me a thumbs up because he saw my sign. I remember that fondly. My brother did a lightning banner, I believe. And then the second time we went, I made a cobra one, which didn't look like a cobra at all. But I was happy waving it, going like, "Go Cobra!" But watching it live, it was so interesting because you were there watching it, and then obviously they had to move everything to make the event. So obviously, when you watch it taped, everything's like, "Oh, we'll come back after a commercial break. We'll do this and we'll do that." So everything's taped, obviously. So they do it, mate. Half the time when we were there watching after the events, the amount of people de-rigging stuff to then like. So if you started up with stratospheres, for example, or stratospheres, that's the one. Atmospheres, that's it. You've only got the pads on the floor. Yeah. Then say if you went for, like, I don't know, say the pendulum after that, they would clear the floor, bring down the giant net that is to catch everybody, and then the giant thing would come down from the ceiling just because they always kept it on its side. So then it would just basically come down, and then you'd see them get up there. Getting the people up there was phenomenal. I've never seen. They came in with the the portable crane things.
Yeah, cherry picker.
Yeah, cherry pickers, mate. It was phenomenal to watch how it is, and then it goes like, "Okay, guys, we're going in live, so can everyone start getting crazy, like the crowd going?" And then it was, and then it would be like Arika and everyone. Back to controversy.
Not controversy, but what are they doing now?
What are they doing now? What are they doing now?
So we'll start with Wolf.
Wolf. What is Wolf doing now?
Well, when this article was written,
here we go, Ben. Microphone this.
When
Here
this
we go.
article was written, he was 66 years old.
Okay.
He runs a gym now.
Okay,
Yeah, I knew he had a gym.
A gym in New Zealand. Okay.
He's still doing that, is he?
Yeah,
Ace, yep.
has turned his back on show business.
Oh, because he was so popular the first time round.
Whoa. He's found God. He runs a gospel church.
Okay.
A gospel choir in York.
Oh, in York. Okay. All right.
Amazon. Sharon Davis MBE. Didn't know she had an MBE.
I'm loving this.
I'm sure she was some kind of Olympian beforehand.
Olympic swimmer. There we go. So everyone had some sort of.
Does charity.
Back.
What's Jet doing now?
Is that what you're looking for immediately?
It says,
oh.
That Jet now, that photo you scroll past.
Yeah.
She don't look a day older.
Well, she does.
Do you think?
And that's Jet now.
I don't know. Does she look like she could be a vampire? She hasn't aged too old.
She's
aged.
Look
bad for it to say that she's nearly 50.
She's got that Carol Vorderman thing going on.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. For people who don't know who Carol Vorderman is, Google Carol Vorderman.
People who don't know who Carol Vorderman is.
Stop listening to the podcast.
And go enjoy the next hour of your life.
Yeah, go.
She became to be a PE teaching assistant.
Oh, she became a PE teacher.
Imagine if your PE teacher was Jet.
So many guys. Jeez Louise. Holy cow.
I forgot my PE kit.
The common excuse. Miss, I haven't got my PE kit. I need to sit out and watch. Sorry.
There's no way I'm wearing tiny shorts around you.
Oh, that's hilarious. Oh, jeez
She
Louise.
apparently trained to be a psychotherapist.
Maybe.
Was involved in Big Brother's bit on the side.
Oh, okay. What, the first big?
in the Housemates. She appeared on 33 episodes.
I never watched Big Brother, so.
No.
I don't know. Right, Rhino.
Rhino, here we go. He had a rugby background, I think.
He was on EastEnders, The Bill, Robin Hood.
So staying in TV then.
Featured Pirates of the Caribbean.
What?
There you go, there's something you didn't know.
That's something new.
Panther.
That's interesting. So he had the odd bit here and there in TV still. Panther, what is he up to these days? She's up to.
Champion bodybuilder.
Well, yeah, because she was the Miss Universe, wasn't she?
Gym shit. Shadow, we know he's a crackhead in jail.
Jesus.
Lightning.
Oh, we all remember Lightning.
Gymnast, bodybuilder, TV presenter.
TV presenter?
Lightning was known as the Queen of Hang Tough.
She was.
And had remained undefeated in the UK arena.
There we go. In the UK arena.
Just once in Australia.
Wow.
Once.
Here we go. Dated Ulrika Johnson.
Went bold.
Fitness instructor. Boring.
Okay. Boring.
Blaze. Don't even remember her.
Eunice Hart, she also won one year.
Wait a minute.
She won the first Gladiators.
And then became Blaze.
I'm sure she won season 1.
She was originally a contender going against one of the Gladiators, but became the first ever UK contestant to become a gladiator.
Interesting.
She's a stunt double for Angelina Jolie, Mila Jovovich,
Okay.
Uma Thurman.
Okay.
She used to be a manager at McDonald's.
Wow.
Before she became a gladiator.
And a stunt woman.
And a stunt woman for
Mad.
some high celebrities.
Lives in the West Midlands.
I mean, that's exciting enough.
Spends his time making watercolour paintings.
What a lad.
Promotes Keep Fit at schools.
Oh, cool.
Nightshade.
Terrifying. Nightshade. Terrifying.
I don't know.
What the actual hell? Everyone else looked very similar to how they did when they were younger.
For the Duke of Edinburgh Award.
Okay.
But please show me the picture.
Can I have a look at this? I'm going to have to find this one.
Nightshade.
Yes. Nightshade now. Very different.
Nightshade.
She's lost the dreads and she's got a...
Could still be in the hat.
She could be... They could still be in the hat.
What's Saracen doing now?
What a lad. Saracen...
Firefighter. What an actual lad.
Wow. What a lad. He is a firefighter. What firefight department?
Doesn't say.
Oh, mate. If we can find out, we'll go interview him. Be like, Saracen, you are our man.
What's referee John Anderson up to?
Oh.
He's 87 years old at the time of this. I think he's probably not with us anymore.
But what a lad. What a gentleman.
Nah, That's it. I've got nothing.
That's amazing. Well, no, because I feel like we'll always have fond memories of Gladiators, but hopefully this podcast is...
in a do-rag in this photo?
Because he was in a do-rag for a while.
Yeah.
It's a bit weird. Still trying to hold on to those locks.
Like Salamanca.
Yeah, I think he went bold on top.
I feel like with these podcasts, we just go back into a time machine and go like, we were this young and we were watching this. But it was a literal phenomenon. I remember having some of the toys. I know it was such a big thing with those.
I don't
Yeah? You had a t-shirt with Wolf on?
Gladiator toys.
So, I'm going to let you know, I had Jet, I had Rhino, and I had Warrior, and I had Wolf. And it was basically the toys you could have, and literally, some of them were posed so you could play them, do the wall, Astropheres, and then also the one where you had the guns. What was the gun one called? Danger Zone, that's it. Blast Off. It could have been one called that.
I had a poster of Jet, but my mum weren't over keen on us having posters of women on a wall. So my poster of Jet was rolled up underneath my bed.
Okay.
But it was stuck to my wall on a regular basis.
Why? For me, it's like, if you wanted to capture 90s television, it's up there with a lot of other shows. Like in the 90s. It's up there.
It was pretty great.
It was. And I hope that you guys out there listening to this random podcast about three guys in the Midlands talking about Gladiators has piqued your interest to what the heck are they talking about? Because
we don't know.
Because we don't know, but we had fun talking about Gladiators.
We definitely did. And I'm actually quite surprised because we started this podcast because, for those not aware, we also do a disc golf podcast.
Yes.
And this is the one and only time disc golf is going to get mentioned on this podcast.
100%.
We have a dedicated podcast for that sport. But what happens in that podcast is when something get mentioned such as Gladiators, and we just end up going down a rabbit hole of talking about Gladiators instead of
15 minutes gone.
100%.
And
left on the cutting room floor sometimes because we're like, we can't have that in.
So we created this podcast and we called it Digression because we're so used to digressing.
Yeah.
We've done episode 1 and all we've spoke about really is
Gladiators and how insane it is.
There's a little bit of digression, but compared to what we normally do, so in future,
we just love it.
Future episodes, expect a lot more digression.
A lot of digression session. This is the thing. Even though we were here, at one point Ben stopped being a part of the podcast and watched episodes just to understand what it was, and then also just we found out some random like Gladiator news that we never knew, like where they are now.
We were going to do a section in this podcast.
Oh, we are. We still need to do that section.
So Ben.
Now
that's interesting.
Turn it up.
Was interesting.
Turn it up.
Scotty
2 hotty facts.
I'm gonna have to go with one that I just know.
Yeah, we were gonna say let's go with one.
Go for it. One every time. We need a Scotty 2 hotty
Used to be a
fact.
firefighter. Scotty 2 hotty.
Yeah.
Used to be a fireman.
That explains a lot with his hair.
Fireman. One of a goddamn hero is what he was.
Do you think he put out fires doing the worm?
Absolutely.
What a lad.
He wormed up with the hose.
With the hose.
And then Rikishi put his sunglasses on and turned the water on.
He went round the fire on one foot. And then put it
And Grandmaster Sexy drove the truck. And that's how it worked.
with no top on.
With no top on.
That's how it worked.
With a bucket hat with his head. That's how he was it? Fireman's hat, but the head
The
cut
helmet,
off.
the top of the helmet was cut off and his hair was out.
Oh, that's so
What a
good.
legend.
Rikishi was definitely the waterman.
Oh.
Sunglasses.
But that's a true fact. Scotty 2 hotty used to be a
All of
fireman.
that I've just said's true.
Okay.
Everything's
Every
true.
part of it.
Everything of him being true.
Everything you have heard in the last hour is 100% fact.
None of
true.
it's false.
It's true. He was a fireman, possibly not dancing in fire and worming and whatever, but Scotty 2 hotty fact. Oh, every episode we're going to have a Scotty 2 hotty fact. I'm happy with that. So there, first episode in the books, Digression Session, episode 1, Gladiators. Man, it's like going back in a time capsule. That was really good fun. I like it.
I'm looking forward to doing some more. So when we were researching Gladiators, I've come across some like other 90s things.
Yes.
Rewatching Sooty, as a grown man has been fantastic. Weird. I am so glad that I have spent some time watching Sooty.
I love
with
the
an
fact.
adult lens because there are some adult jokes that I never understood.
Yeah, I feel like there is literally going to be an episode dedicated to just 90s childhood television because there's so much that we've got.
I think that should be our next episode.
That should be 90s cartoons. I know Batman the Animated Series is going to be in there for me.
Children's
just programs are everything. Like Biker Mice from Mars is up there with mine. Like, I mean, love that show.
I'm not a big fan, but
I loved that as a kid.
Definitely got to talk Power Rangers as well.
Power Rangers, that's another phenomenon. Like 90s. Also, you've got to think Pokemon actually started in the 90s as well, guys. That's crazy.
Did it really?
It started ITV in the morning. Ben, what are you watching right now? He's watching Funhouse as we finish Digression Session. I love it. Guys, if you've enjoyed this episode, please leave a like. A like is much appreciated. If you're watching this on YouTube, leave a comment below. Tell us your favourite gladiators or random gladiator facts. So and just, he had 2 twins, didn't he, as well, in Funhouse. Love it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I can't wait for next week.
This is going to be so good. So, if you're listening onto Podbean, thanks for downloading as well. Feel free to jump over onto the YouTube right now and watch it with all the clips of, like, the stuff that we've talked about because it's just doesn't speak, justice to this.
This is his job.
And without further ado, guys, this has been Digression Session number 1, and we'll see you for episode 2 in the not too distant future.